Hello and welcome to Cameleon complete tutorial video number 2, software overview and simple bench setup. In this video, we will have an overview of the Cameleon software, how to load a car, prepare your setup and bench a car on 6 vertical jigs. We'll show you how to bench this car, an Audi A3 Sportback Quattro. To get started, we need to go on the website. So let's go to app.celette.com and we can log in using the email and password we set up in the first video. Now let's head to Cameleon. You have a shortcut over here, or you can access it through the menu. To get started with Cameleon, we first need to choose the car we are working with. Let's click on this button to search for a car. And here you have 3 search modes. You have the quick search, when you can use the search bar to search for car brand, model or year. You have the search by make, where you will be guided to choose the car make, model version and datasheet version. And a search by year, where you will be guided through the year of the car, make of the car, model and datasheet version. Let's try the quick search first. So here we will work with an Audi A3 from 2012. And the car we're interested in is an 8P Sportback Quattro. This is our car. There is 2 datasheet versions for this car. We can pick any of these. We can refine our search using the filters. The make of the car is Audi. The model is A3. And datasheet version is 8P Sportback Quattro. And here we see only the 2 datasheets corresponding to this car. And we can click on a datasheet to load it. Next, we need to choose the mode in which we will bench the car. First, we have the diag mode for a complete car that we bench for diagnosis. Next, we have WE mode for a complete car, but we remove some bolts from the car and replace them with Celette bolts attached to the Cameleon jig. Then we have WO mode for repairs, where we need to remove some mechanical parts from the car, such as wheel, exhaust pipe, or suspension system. Next, we have mix mode, where we need to take out mechanical parts only in the rear side of the car or the front side of the car. We are working with a body in white here, so let's take the mechanical out mode. And we have already a first configuration loaded on the bench. If you want to show more points than the 6 default one, you can open the points window and activate points one by one. For example, let's show this point in the front, and you can see the new tower appearing here. To hide it, we can click again on this point. You can also activate group of points at the same time. Let's hide the vertical jigs. We don't have anything left. If we click again, we will show all the vertical jigs available. Let's now activate the angle jigs. And we now have the maximum amount of points available in this configuration. If we want to show another point, for example, point number 26, right now we cannot, because there is another jig too close to this one. Maybe it's the point number 18 or number 12. Let's try to hide point number 12 and show point number 26. It's still not possible, so we probably need to remove point 18 as well, and we can now activate point 26. Let's go back to the default configuration with the 6 first jigs using this button. Let's now take a look at the settings window. Here you can choose what bench you are using. If you have a longer car, you may need a large bench or an XL bench. You can choose it here. Let's go back to the regular bench. Likewise, you can change the kind of cross member you will be using. So you can choose between the regular cross member and the special cross member. And let's go back to the original ones. If you need to inspect your jigs in 3D, you can navigate the view using the mouse. So you can use the left mouse button to move around, the right mouse button to rotate, and the scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. You can also double click with the left mouse button to reset to the original camera. We also have other modes of viewing. We have a top view, where you can also use the left mouse button to pan, the right click to rotate, the mouse wheel to zoom in, zoom out, and left double click to reset to the default settings. We also have cameras on the left, on the right, on the front, and the rear of the bench, with exactly the same control, except that no rotation on this one. Let's go back to perspective view. The offset bar here is used if you need to move the car relative to the bench. So for example, if you have some point too far out in the front or the rear of the car, you can change the x-axis to move the whole car down to relative to the bench. So let's change -244 by -100. And we see that the setup is the same, but all the jigs have moved backward a little bit. Same for the height. If you don't have enough high tower, or for any reason you want the car to be lower relative to the bench, you can change the height. And we see that all the jigs have lowered a little bit. Let's get back to the default configuration and start inspecting those jigs. So if you click on the tower, you have all the info here to build a jig. If the point picture is not showing up, you can click on this button to toggle it and check out what point you're working with, more precisely over here. And on this window, you have all the info you need to build a jig. Position of the cross member on a tower, sliding block, sliders value, tower, piston, plate, height adapter, socket, and height adapter offset. We can also have all this information available in a drawing you can print and have in the shop. In this drawing, we have all the info we need to build this configuration. For each tower, we have a box corresponding with the info to build this specific tower. So we are working with point number 27, and we have all the info here. Position on the bench, orientation of the tower, type of sliding block, sliders value, tower, piston, plate, height adapter, socket, and height offset settings. At the bottom of the drawing, we also have a list of all the parts we will need to build this configuration: cross members, towers, pistons, plates, height adapter, and sockets. Some precision about the socket types. The green socket is a UF socket. It is a female socket that goes over the bolts of mechanical parts, mostly found in diag mode. The yellow socket is a UV socket, male socket with a bolt to be inserted in threaded holes once the original bolt from the car has been removed, usually found in WO mode. The blue socket is a UM socket, a male socket that goes into the hole of the car without thread. Can be found in any mode. If for some reason, when lowering the car, some jigs are hitting the body of the car, you can use the controls in the jig panel in order to adjust the jig. For example, in this point number 13 in diag mode, this jig might not reach the point because it would have to go through the suspension system. To resolve this issue, we can try to use a longer height adapter. so the jig can fit into the hole in the suspension system. Other available control for the jig is rotating the plate, choosing a higher or lower tower, changing the slider's value to move the tower a little bit, or move the position of the tower on the bench to move it further. Once you're happy with your configuration, you can click on this button to save it and access it later. Configuration has been saved. Let's try to load it back. We can find it over here. Now that we've got the desired configuration in the software, we can start assembling the bench. First thing we have to do is to place the cross members on the bench. First, we're going to place the two front cross members on the front edge of the bench. Next, we are going to place the rear cross member at number 25 on the bench, as highlighted here in the software, or here in the drawing. Note that we are using a regular cross member instead of the rear cross member because we will be adding more jig to this configuration in a following video. Let's now assemble the jigs. We usually build the jigs in order, starting in the front and ending in the rear. We'll start with point number 11 and assemble it from bottom to top. First thing, we have to spot its location on the bench. It will go at position 8 in length and -4 in width, as indicated in the jig window. You can find these positions here in the 3D view, 8 -4, and here in the drawing, 8 -4. In this position, we place a sliding block type L to go on the left side of the bench, with the arrow pointing forward. We tighten it down. We input the values in the sliders. For the length slider in yellow, we input 66 mm, and for the width slider in green, 62 mm. We tighten it down. Repeat this process for all other jigs. On top of the sliding block, we place tower MZ260, facing toward the rear of the bench, as indicated in the 3D view by this yellow notch, or in the drawing by this triangle. Bolt down the tower. We recommend to leave the bolts a bit loose, so it's easier to fit the jig inside the hole when lowering the car on the bench. And we do the same for the remaining jigs. Next, we are going to assemble the piston, plate, height adapter and socket. We'll be using a piston P160. On top of it, we bolt a plate UP004. On the plate, we screw a height adapter AD05. On top of the height adapter, we screw a socket UV13 with a height offset of 1.9 mm that you adjust using this ruler. We will also need an HM screw of diameter 12 and pitch 150, along with a screw stopper VB12.150. We can now place the piston inside the tower, following the orientation you see in the 3D view or in the drawing. For this jig, we will select the pin in the second hole from the top in the tower, as indicated by this -2 after the tower name, and in the hole D in the piston, as indicated by the -D after the piston name. We can now repeat the same process for all of the pistons. And finally, we are ready to bench the car. To facilitate fitting the jigs in the hole when lowering the car, we recommend using only 4 jigs and taking out the pins of the remaining jigs. We will slide them up later into the holes. Among our 4 initial jigs, you can already attach loosely to the car the one with UV socket before lowering it onto the bench. We can now lower the car until it's hovering just above the jigs. Adjust the bench so the jigs are in front of the holes. Continue lowering the car just enough so you can tighten the bolt of the jigs and the towers. Tighten the bolts of these 4 towers. Finish lowering the car and let it rest completely on those 4 jigs. Then slide up the pistons of the remaining jigs, fit the socket into the holes, and secure them with the pins. For this jig, we have an example where the screw doesn't fit into the hole because the car has been damaged. In a following video, we'll show you what to do when you encounter this situation and how you can use your Cameleon kit as a measurement system in order to assess the damage. We had an overview of the Cameleon software, and we saw how to bench a car on vertical jigs. You should now understand the basics of how to use the Cameleon kit and the Cameleon software.